Hello and welcome to the Success Siren Salon. I'm your host, Jasmine Srinaga Crystal Singer, and I'm so excited here at the beginning of 2018 to have a highly esteemed guest, Jen Duchene, transformational counselor and healer and creator of the absolutely gorgeous portals, bridging this reality and others, the Illuminating Journey cards. As you know, the Success Siren Salon is dedicated to showing you the very real and raw journeys of soulpreneurs, heart-centered entrepreneurs just like you, covering their journey from struggle to success and showing you the secret keys so you too may shine in 2018. And we're so lucky to have you on this show, Jen. You're an astronumerologist as well, and so you'll be telling us a little bit about the specific numerological energy of this year and what it means for visibility. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So delighted to be here, Jasmine.
And maybe we could start with your own journey, Jen. You used to curate spaces, interior spaces for people to help them achieve more mindfulness, health and balance and joy in their own spaces. And that led you on a whole journey in your own life through your own ups and downs to many modalities of healing. I always think of you as the wise woman, really the wise woman who has delved deep into weird, but weird being the ancient knowledge of our ancestors and of magic and paradigm shifts, epiphanies and illuminations. So we are here to bring those deep symbols to light so each person may know their own interpretation. And I think it's so fitting that you have birthed the cards. Just a little background for the audience. Jen is one of the first founding members of the Success Siren group, which was formerly called Video Goddess Academy. And as we were preparing for this show, Jen was very generous in offering a vulnerable share about her own visibility struggles. So I wonder if you would mind sharing with the audience, you know, how it's been a challenge to be visible, but what you found just by showing up and serving consistently in your biz, Jen.
Yes, I would love to. So for me, it's being a one of these weird types, right? Intuitive, receiving messages, all of that throughout my life, especially when as a child separated me from others and created this, this form of separation. And so I was desperately trying pretty much my whole life to fit in. Like I was trying to understand what is it that other people wanted me to do and be so I could be that. But I knew it was fake, right? I knew it wasn't really me. So, of course, I was playing a role, and that made it really difficult. It was a struggle to play a role that I didn't really know the rules. What were the ground rules of this role that I was playing? So, it created a incredible feeling of fear and anxiety because I was always looking at other people to see if I was doing the right thing. And that, of course, created greater separation and greater fear of being visible. Like if I wasn't going to do it right, I was going to get in trouble. I couldn't be the good girl, which is what I was striving for, which was totally outside of my nature. Then what would I do? And so it became easier to hide. And I think also in terms of, being visible, being out there in the world, putting on this mask, like, oh, I am this person I say I am, right? I'll play this role you want me to play. I'll be this child, this female, this woman that you're telling me you need me to be.
Mm-hmm. So we do often learn very young that in order to receive love, we need to comply in how we present ourselves to the world. So what was the big breakthrough for you or moment of real transition when you broke out of that mold and you knew It was now or never for you. What was the crisis that really kind of catapulted you into this this soul aligned direction, acknowledging who you truly are?
Yes, so I was at a place in my life where I was very depressed. It's just like everything, having been a very creative person, but hidden that creativity because it didn't seem to fit in with the norm. So, adapting the whole time to someone else's reality, and finally getting to that point where there was no light. It was just dark. Like, I don't know how to do this anymore. It's not working. And I feel so terrible because I'm not expressing myself. Of course, I didn't know that was why, but I felt trapped. And at the time I was in a marriage that was kind of, had come to a place where it was kind of ending. We were parting ways. And I have a daughter, which is what kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. Like, okay, I can't just disappear off this planet.
I got to show up for her. Yep.
Yes, exactly. I've got to show up for her. So, that was that culmination, that awareness, like, okay, whatever I've been doing, all this kind of kowtowing isn't working. All this hiding and pretending to be someone else, it's just not working. It's poisoning me, and I'm slowly dying. And this isn't the way I want to live. So that really was the catalyst, that turning point of realizing it was up to me, right? Like, no one else is coming in a white horse to save me. I can just keep going on like this, or I can choose a different path. And that was my choice. I just chose, like, listen, I don't know what I'm doing, so why don't I just follow the signs?
And that led you to continued expansion, opening, deepening. I'd love for you to maybe be able to talk about the energetic significance of 2018, and numerologically speaking and astrologically speaking, how that pertains to visibility or stepping into our personal truth and daring to share, taking the risk of rejection and continuing to open no matter what. So take it away, Jen.
So interesting, 2018, when we look at the numbers are the way that the divine or the universe speaks to us the most clearly, because they're symbols, but they're very clear. So even though we don't understand what they mean, vibrationally, we're getting the signals. And 2018 is an 11 year. 2 + 1 + 8 makes an 11. And when you look at 11, it's a portal, it's a gateway, it's about entering. And the very key thing about entering a portal is when you cross the threshold, right? That is the point where you're willing to leave things behind and move forward. So the key part about all of this is the 11s are 2 1s, right? And those are indicating we need to stand on our own 2 feet. Like, we have lived in a paternalistic society where we have trusted others with our power. Like, we said, okay, you just take care of me and I'll do whatever you want, right? Which has been my story.
Abdicated our personal power. Absolutely.
Exactly. So, in 2011, people were talking about the 11s and all of that and the energy of the gateway. And that's what this is. It is the kind of culmination point of the doorway opened in 2011, and now here we are in 2018. And in 11 year, it doesn't happen very often. So this is a big deal because it's a master number, right? So it's not saying we're a master of anything. It's telling us we must master the things that hold us back. We must master our resistance to being visible, because visibility, the key here is when you're talking about visibility, it isn't about how other people perceive you, which is most of how we've lived. Like, oh, am I doing it right? Am I wearing the right clothes? It is much more about, am I in the truth of who I am? Am I coming from a place where I trust myself enough to, risk all to be who I am, to stand on my own feet, to trust my own intuition, to know that I'm in the right place and I must follow where I'm guided, as opposed to thinking with your mind. Now, 2011 is a year of knowing, or trusting knowing, even though we're stepping into the unknown, which is an 11. We don't know what's coming. We do know we're being connected to the divine. You know, the 11 is also called by the ancients the holy breath. So that idea of connecting what is divine to what is present, to our physical being. So we don't need to go around necessarily saying, oh, I'm perfect, or I won't be able to be visible until I'm perfect, because that's all nonsense, right? We're always growing. We're on a journey, right? The end part is not as important as the experience you're having. We grow through experience. So the 11 is a number that is full of electricity that invites us to step into this place of change. Here I am. It's the key. You know, we have the key now to a new doorway. We can release the beliefs we've had about the past and step into a new way of being. And there are also 3 other numbers that are involved this year, as well as a huge focus on the feminine energy, right? So when you take an 11 and you bring them together, it's a 2. And this is the number that is a very feminine number. So again, it's reminding us through the intuition, we learn how to take action. So we don't force action through insistence that our mind thinks, right? Because when you're thinking, you don't know. When you know, you don't need to think about it. And that's the difference, right? It's bringing you together. It's also balancing polarities, because 2 is about balance, right? It's bringing that energy, and it's taking the idea or the intention, the 1, which is in the 11, the new beginnings, this focus, and bringing it into possibility, because we're actually paying attention to detail. We're willing to speak out. You know, a key thing about the 2, which is very important for visibility, is what I call is be a diplomat, not a doormat.
I love that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, because the idea is, you know, we want to please others. Like, oh, let's collaborate. You know, the 2 wants to collaborate, connect. It's a bridge. We want to create that balance. How can we meet each other? When we're being a doormat, we just want to do what everyone else wants us to do. And then, of course, we're not standing on our own 2 feet. We're not taking responsibility for ourselves. We're abdicating, right? So we're saying, okay, I'll do whatever you want. But then we get mad, right?
Right.
Because I don't want to do what they're making me do something. So if we can say, and fine, and this is where balance comes in, and trusting yourself is this idea that I know what I want, right? So we're creating boundaries. This is a year, again, of creating our own boundaries and going, wow, you know what I really feel about this situation, or what I'd like to eat is this, right? I want to eat chicken, whatever, right? I want to, you know, run my business this way. My coach or someone else is telling me do it somewhere else. So the idea is, I know my boundaries, but I'm willing to meet you on the bridge, right? We don't let people into our private space. We meet them on a bridge, right? So we're both equal partners. And we go, you know,
both standing in their authentic power. So one is not taking from the other, or there's some kind of parasitic thing going on, right? Or codependency. It's really about honoring the 2 viewpoints, and what you can concede and are willing to concede, and what is absolutely intrinsic for you that you won't compromise on.
Exactly. Beautifully spoken. And that energy of being in your integrity, right? So that's where diplomacy comes in, because you can say, I understand, you know, we're talking about not just knowing, but kindness and kinship, which is really important in this time, in this year. So how do we tell somebody we want something different without, you know, attacking them or being defensive?
Their choice wrong, or making their choice wrong for us to be right. I think this is part of the integration of the polarity, realizing we all have differences, and yet being so supportive of where each person is at on their own journey, knowing that that is their choice, while we stand strong in ours. So no need to proselytize or push our beliefs or choices on others, but yet still be very strong in what is true for us. I'm so happy you brought this up, Jen, because many times, and this has happened to me in prior relationships, I would give somebody else expert status over what my own gut or heart said. And in my own work with clients, we work with many metaphysical and intuitive methods so that they know without a shadow of a doubt what their sacred yes is and sacred no is. And if they don't have a beginning of an answer, they have a process with it, which to go in a receptive state and to call in the truth so that their higher self can speak to them and they can hear. You have created a magnificent key to help those of us with very busy environments, with a lot on our plates, create that sacred place of ritual, tune into our own inner wise woman, and retrieve the signs, symbols, and the messages that are part of our divine work that we are here to birth. Could you speak to us about the gestation of the illuminating journeys, the artwork, how they work, the different categories? They're just so visually stunning. And if you're watching this, Soulpreneur, Jen is going to let you know towards the end of the show how you can view the cards and find out more. But truly, once you see that, I feel that you will be very drawn to their ability to act as energetic and multidimensional portals to help you very quickly tune into exactly what you need to know. Tell us more, Jen. What an incredible to the world these cards are.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I believe this is why I came here. And there's, yes, but it's been a very interesting journey. Again, you know, coming to this place of allowing my creativity. I'm a highly creative person, and yet I have pushed it away for various reasons. I don't know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these stories about not enough. And knowing, right, since I work with the Akashic Records, and when I first began working with the Akashic Records, after about a year or so, my masters would tell me, you know, you're going to bring this work forward. And I didn't know what it was. Like, well, I don't know what it is. And I was trying to puzzle, you know, in your mind, like, what is this? What am I going to do? And, you know, I just couldn't worry about it because I didn't know, right? I didn't have enough information. And I thought it was going to be a book, and turned out it wasn't. And a couple of years ago, I got the indication, okay, it's going to be cards. And I was terrified, like, how am I going to create these cards? Like, I did interview a few artists because people said, well, you know, I don't know how, I'm not a, you know, I don't have enough skill to paint what I see. So I was interviewing some artists, and then I realized, like, this isn't going to work because I have to, you know, I have to know what it is, and it has to birth through me, and I don't even know what it's going to look like until it's there. And so I actually took an art class. You know, went back. I've done art before a long time ago, and I took an art class, and that really helped to loosen up my fear and just start, what the hell, you know, I just got to do it, right? Now is the time. They were pressing me. Now is the time. And just sat down, and I figured, you know what, I can't do that, but I could do a collage, create a collage. And so that's what happened. I started working. It took about 12 months to create these cards. And some of them came together really quickly. Some are much longer. But all of them, because what was so interesting about it being a collage, and I think that turned out to be the absolute perfect medium, because, you know, maybe I would get an idea in my head, like, or dream. I'd see a dream of a picture. Oh, that's what the card's going to look like. And then I try to make it happen, and it never worked. The only way this card worked is if I worked in layers. So I would have to, you know, find the base and then kind of start to pull the pieces together, and then get this kind of hit low. Oh, go get, you know, something or other. Go find something. And that's really how it worked. And it was really, I think, the most amazing thing about, as these cards kind of came to life and I saw them and I could feel the energy of them, like, you know, even as the midwife, I'm not immune to the energy of these cards, right? It's kind of separate. It's not like, I birthed them, but they have their own life force.
Oh, yeah.
And but what was so great is it actually helped give me greater voice. It brought together this idea of my creativity and my channeling and healing abilities in one place, which was so great. And it didn't involve much thinking. It was more about knowing and just trusting the process, just moving through it. And when I showed people some of the cards as I was working, I was getting a great response. I was like, okay, this isn't just in my mind. This is something I can actually do, and bringing it to fruition, actually creating physical cards. Like, that's such a big deal for a creative person. And birthing your work and just putting it out there, knowing that it's helping me in a sense, because it's given me a greater, that 11, more ability to stand on my own 2 feet and go, okay, I feel like I've created something, right? And knowing that it's going to go and do its own thing.
And now releasing it to the world to help
Yes.
to shift lives. Did you ever, Jen, in this process, have a dark night of the soul, frustration, or feeling it might not come together, or it might not happen? Were there doubts that came on you that you had to master energetically so that this great project could come about?
Oh, definitely a very, what was interesting when I was doing the work, it was so amazing. It just felt so good. I could spend hours, like some of these cards took hours and hours and hours, right? And it was very joyful. But I did feel doubt and kind of uncertainty about what was going to happen, like how I was going to be able to, like you say, complete the project. I didn't even know how many cards there were. I didn't know how I was going to complete the project, if I had the the wherewithal to make it happen, to really kind of let go of everything else and focus on this, and then do the things that needed to happen to make it come to life. And that was really very challenging. Putting myself out in that way, asking people, oh, here's my thing, you want it? And I even did an Indiegogo campaign because I knew, yes, I knew that was a way for me, force myself to go and ask people to help my cause, right?
But also to raise awareness that these cards were being built and they needed a network, a community to
Yes,
be into. So I bet the
exactly.
first people who've donated are so excited to see this actually manifest. I know for the creative women that I mentor, one of the biggest problems for us, and a huge problem for myself for many years, where we had so many creative ideas, it's very, very hard to actually finish one. So I remember when I the first play that I wrote, or created my businesses, everything that I asked is actually materialized. This felt like such a huge birth and gestation process. And I think many of us who struggle with this, when we find that secret key, which is detachment from outcome, enjoying the process, surrender to flow, continuing to show up even if we're not inspired, still do something related to it to keep the momentum going, honoring the peaks and valleys of creative flashes of illumination, trusting, not having to know exactly how the outcome will occur, but believing in the vision and doing something each day to make it happen, taking risks to put it out there, and then knowing we have to force ourselves to show up and deliver. This is huge. And from what you were telling us also about the numerological makeup of this year, with Saturn back in Capricorn now, this is really the time to take that structured action to climb to the top. So for those of us who've been, when Saturn was in Sagittarius, all of our travels and ideas and expansion, it's been difficult for some of us, and I'm a Sagittarian sun sign, to really be able to concentrate and focus the creative expansive energy into grounding it down into 3D. And I think that's so beautiful. This is a time to take our higher visions, make them manifest, make them real, make them concrete. So if we would just look at that part of visibility in terms of really bringing the work that we're birthing to the world, showing up consistently and cohesively, and in faith and in trust, how can we harness, maybe even using the cards, these transformational powers of 2018, Jen?
Okay, so great question. And, I think using tools like the cards are very powerful. And these cards are not like a typical Oracle tarot deck because they are infused with vibrational energies. So as you ask a question, and one of the key things about how we tend to ask questions, like we need to take responsibility for how we ask questions and how we receive answers. Like we're not in kindergarten. We can't have the teacher telling us, okay, Jen, just color red here, right? Right. So it's like, what color do I use, right? It's like we have to retrain ourselves, or we have to step into this place of going, I'm willing to take risks. I'm willing to look foolish. I'm willing to let go of my idea that I was somebody, or I'm created by who people have said I am, or what experiences I've had. Let that go and move into a place of love, right? Where I can hear a picture. So much of what creates for all of us, and certainly for me doing these cards, is I had people who mentored me, right? Dear friends, or people I was working with that encouraged me or gave me opportunities and said, well, do this or something, or show up here. And I just said yes. And I didn't know if I'd be able to do it or not. But, once you have a goal or a date, you're kind of like, okay, well, I have to produce something, right? Holding you accountable, right? But with the things like these cards, what's so amazing is you can, everything about divination is about the question, right? Nothing in our lives isn't about the quest or the question. Are we asking the right question? And are we listening? When we ask yes or no questions, we're going to get very narrow answers. But when we ask a question that's open-ended and we're willing to look at what shows up. So I'll just give you an example. I just wanted to show you. Here's a card, right? So the thing is, when you're looking at one of these cards, you ask a question and this card shows up. There's many ways to look at what is in the card, right? So you can choose to look at a particular symbol. You can look at a particular number, at the number or something like that, and you can focus on that. You can also go deeper. What is the bigger meaning in what I'm looking at, right? What is this really telling me? And
excellent questions.
Yes, so this is the point, is that there are many ways to get into these cards, but once you kind of allow yourself to play and to realize there are no set answers, there's no set explanation. Yes, we have things that we say a castle means, somebody's a prince or something, but who says that's the truth for us, right?
It could be isolation. It could be separating ourselves through elitism. It could be magic. It could be so many things, but depending on our own personal truth and interpretation, it's fabulous. They're fabulous.
Yes.
I saw a mandala and a spaceship, and I thought, oh, I'm here to connect the galactic with the Gaian rhythms and crystal rhythms and earth healing and retreats, and I was just like enjoying my whole journey through through the cards. And yes. I think that's the beauty of them, because you have created them in energetic layers. There's always more to find, unlike in many cards, this is the guidebook and this is the reading. Depending on how we can expand our powers of perception and dim the mental chatter, so we can put ego aside and be willing to accept the answer, like maybe we need to go outside for more walks, or maybe things we don't want to change or do or look at.
Mm.
We have to be strong enough and bold enough in the quest to receive the insight, and then not to sit in it on it, but to truly take action, to step in the unknown of the I that is being formed. That we do not exist. The I does not exist. We are eternal. So anything we're identifying with is just a figment of what has possibly
Well,
been and what's going
yes.
on.
And it's,
So we're defining ourselves all the time. And I see the cards as being essential to really feeling that. I'm not a Jasmine who is, the success siren creator, and I did this and I did that, and I'm a raw truth, raw treats enthusiast. Those are all things that I love, but we're all, and how we bring our unique colors and fragments to this
mm.
this play of existence. We are often taking ourselves far too seriously. I think the cards are amazing, and just mirroring back to ourselves, oh, there's so much more. There's so much more. How we are restricting the nature of consciousness and reality so we don't get too troubled, because it is very troubling to look at this and to feel that so many of the structures we have clung to, Jen, for security are false. They're just purely false. And in order to continue our spiritual evolutionary process, we're going to have to shift and make a change. And that could be great, or that could be small, but it will incite some level of discomfort within us. But
Yes.
I believe are also soothing, and the cards are also very healing. So maybe you could speak to these different responses to the card.
Yes, that is absolutely true. What is so interesting is, the personality, or the idea of who we are. Our physical being is actually really important. And I think this is such a key part of this time we're in, is recognizing we have Saturn is the keeper of time, right? Of limitations. And also it's earth-based. We're materializing ideas. Like me creating these cards, it's materializing ideas our souls have come here to express. And if you're too involved in the idea of what you want in terms of a personality, your soul cannot expand into those places, because I don't want what's safe to disappear, like you're talking about. I don't want things to change. Humans actually can't stand change. But in order for us to truly be connected to the divine, we have to do that in manifested form, right? Which is our physical body. So we have to find the love for ourselves, the compassion. Yes. And this is a key part of this year too, is letting go of the idea that we're separate and that every one of us is connected. Look, if we judge others, we're judging ourselves. We judge ourselves, we judge others. So there's that aspect of recognizing everyone is entitled to their own truth. So let me be who I am. Instead of spending all that energy on looking at others and saying they're not supposed to do that, or why can't I do that? Just go and do it, right? But truly follow your intuition, not your limits, right? And the beauty of it is, as much as we fear the unknown, everything is unknown, right? We just have like you say, we have an idea that the past is all like, that happens, it will happen again, or if I do this, the same thing will happen. Of course, those are just constructs. But the truth is, even as we step into the unknown, we will always have the divine creating limits for us so we can handle it. We're not just going to go into a place and explode. We're going to be gently taken, just like, my journey with the cards or whatever you're doing. It's a process. You don't start at the end, right? You start at the beginning and you experience and grow and go,
holding. And it's actually a journey of grace and humility, because we realize there's something so much greater than we are that is utilizing our gifts as the creative cauldron, as the sacred vessel. And so when we are able to get out of our ego of criticism or judgment of what is flowing through creatively, we can really stand in this space of true nowness and empowerment. In fact, for me, some of the greatest joy is just being in the creative flow and not knowing where it's going to lead, but trusting it is good and it is always enough. It is always right. And when it's wrong, it's still always right, because it's teaching us maybe a
Yeah,
determined
there is.
outcome or release.
Yes, well, in divine terms, there is no wrong choice, right? There's just choices. So we can make choices out of fear or choices out of love. And for me, I think the great thing to remember as a human is we are so loved. We are loved immensely. We don't need to look for love outside of ourselves in terms of, I need approval. Will you like me? If I do this, will you love me? All that external love is what is confusing us when we recognize that we have this connection with the divine that gives us as much love as we need. And if we can be in that love and make choices from that place, then we can remove ourselves from fear. And so this is really the key of how we have to approach when we're asking questions, when we're taking risks. What is the, show me the path, or show me what I need to know next, right? We don't need to know the end result. We can certainly have some sort of end result in mind, but that's really just, the carrot to keep us going. So the bottom line is to be willing to ask the questions, get better at asking questions, right? The greater the question, the greater the answer.
Elevate our level of question asking.
Yes, and that's through practice. Go ahead.
Again, the title of our show is really Shed What No Longer Serves. And shedding is a process. Maybe part will come off, and then another part, and then another part. So working with a tool like the cards, or creating a practice that we come back to again and again, is really what allows us to reflect on what is in resonance with our authentic self and what is now ready to be surrendered. It served its time protecting us, but it is holding us back from our soul's full expression and expansion. So this is unfortunately all we have time for the show, but I really want soulpreneurs, if you're tuning in, for you to be able to connect with, besides the cards, she has incredible opportunities to mentor with her and be involved in her amazing creative community. So Jen, what is the best way for our viewers to connect with you after this interview?
Well, they can certainly find me on my website, jenduchene.com, and I am on Facebook, Jen Duchene, and I have a Facebook page, Jen Duchene, Illuminate 8. Yes, come and see me, talk to me, reach out. I love having conversations.
And subscribe to Jen's channel. Yes. She does numerological updates, which are amazing, readings. And is there a special page on the website for the Illumination Journey cards, Jen?
Yes, so it's jenduchene.com and /illuminating journey cards. And you can go right there if you want to know more.
Gorgeous. So thanks so much to our special guest, transformational counselor and healer and creator of the Illuminating Journey cards, Jen Duchene. Thank you, viewers, because you really make this show possible. We hope you're enjoying our series, really looking at how our other soulpreneurs have gone from struggle to success, how they've taken risks, how they've failed and triumphed. And hopefully you're learning something through each and every one of these interviews, if they resonate, to help you step forward, shed what no longer serves, and shine in 2018. Again, I'm your host, Jasmine Srinika Crystal Singer, and I invite you to connect, captivate, and contribute. Bye for now.